Hi. Welcome to Nomology.org. This is video 1, the first of 3 videos about the Polynym open source language project. In this video series, we introduce a novel construct that we call the polynym. We'll address only the tip of the iceberg, but hope that it's enough that, like us, you'll find polynyms interesting, useful, and deserving of a database devoted entirely to them, especially for assisting research projects and AI applications or as thinking tools. This series will provide a good general view of polynyms and will touch on practical, as well as theoretical ideas. If you find yourself interested in the project and would like to get involved, or would just like to leave some feedback, contact us at polynyms@gmail.com. These presentations are meant for anyone interested in human communication and the ability to share a mindset or a viewpoint. Our overarching question is, how can machines be enabled to intelligently assist or participate in the uniquely human act of exchanging points of view? To save time, we'll move quickly through the slides. So just as a reminder, feel free to hit pause on a slide for a closer look. The Polynym database is a wiki acquisition that allows users to upload, download, and edit polynym data. So, what's a polynym? A polynym is a certain number of term dimensions used to strategically address a topic. For instance, consider sweet, sour, salty, bitter, savory, 5 distinct dimensions of taste. Or consider thesis, antithesis, synthesis, 3 procedural dimensions of a dialect. And we can also consider yin and yang, 2 dimensions of contrary but complementary forces. What makes a polynym isn't about basic semantic relations like synonyms or hyponyms or the properties of something. Instead, it's about strategic ways to think about something. You'll find polynyms in virtually every discipline of research, and they're abundant. There are many kinds of polynyms. We suggest each can provide their own kind of context and can enhance natural language processing or NLP tasks such as disambiguation, contextuality, queries, various kinds of research projects, and are useful models for organizing certain kinds of heuristic systems as well as meta-knowledge. Our basic goal is always to grow the data and improve the Polynym API service. Our long-term goal is to help develop machines that are good at different ways of thinking. Polynym literally means more than one name or multiple names. These are the names we give to the ideas that guide our interactions with the world. The research involves pragmatics, but very much in a semiotic framework, how the context of text affects the meaning of an expression and what information is necessary to set up the correct path toward objective and relevant understanding. Polynyms are useful, simple, and prolific. Users can upload their polynym along with annotation and a URL. Every polynym requires a headword, like a dictionary or a thesaurus. But unlike providing a definition or a semantic relation, polynyms provide dimensions or facets. Different situations require different kinds of knowledge, or different ways to view a problem. Polynyms are a way to view a specific problem. Polynyms are not about general knowledge or common sense knowledge. However, we do have a special polynym for that. We call that polynym the quadronym. See buildintuit.com for more information about quadronyms and common sense reference frames. Common sense knowledge is a general layer of knowledge that underlies virtually all of our situational thinking. Consider ConceptNet. It's a semantic network concerned with machines knowing the kinds of things that people just naturally know, like apples are part of trees, apples are fruit, apples are used for food, apples are a kind of produce, apples are located at markets, apples are in the context of agriculture, and people desire apples. So each of the relations between the objects provides an element of basic knowing. Polynyms don't provide this basic kind of knowing, although they depend on it. They provide the hubs that strategic systems use to gain knowledge. The kind of knowledge you get depends on the focus and scope that a polynym provides, and ideally also includes the interactions currently going on in the world. So polynym relations are more about discovery than they are about knowing. Polynyms are about targeting specific knowledge, like the knowledge you target with theoretical concepts. So we can think about an apple in terms of being part of a system and a strategy. For instance, Apple is a provision requiring sustainability, technology, conservation, economy, and environment. Every polynym is about simplifying a topic, but simplifying a topic reveals its scope. So one of the challenges for polynym queries is about being scope appropriate. Let's look again at some basic ways to define polynyms: a number of related ideas, a set of dimensions, a multi-term system, a heuristic framework, a strategic use of dimensions to simplify a concept, and a meta frame. The key descriptions are a number of related ideas, a multi-term system, and a strategic use of dimensions to simplify a concept. We also call polynyms idea sets. The Polynym project is somewhat in line with Wordnet, HowNet, FrameNet, and ConceptNet. A polynym entry has some superficial resemblance to a Wordnet entry. Wordnet has a headword, gloss, and synsets. A polynym has a headword, annotation, and a set of dimensions, and for some entries, you'll find several sets. So, they are really very different. Wordnet is much more like a regular thesaurus than polynym collections are, but Wordnet is also quite different from a regular thesaurus. Wordnet links words into semantic relations, including synonyms, hyponyms, and meronyms. The synonyms are grouped into synsets with short definitions and usage examples. Polynyms are like hyponyms. They both involve superordinates that have sets of subordinates. But that's the extent of their likeness. Hyponym is a term used to designate a particular member of a broader class. It's a semantic process of specifying terms. In the example, you can see that red, blue, green, yellow, and purple are all different types of color. They are hyponyms. Below that, in the polynym example, primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, aren't about categorical membership. As a hyponym, blue is a type of color, but as a primary color, it's not a type. In this instance, it's a polynym dimension, and it's a part. It's part of a system. Consider paint being mixed on the artist's palette. This represents a system that one can be strategic with. In this example, the strategy is about the way artists choose to mix their paints to achieve a desired blend to capture the image of their subject onto the canvas. From just the three primary colors, they can achieve a whole spectrum of color. On the other hand, Wordnet is not about strategic systems specifically. It's an exhaustive list of general semantic relations and an important fundamental resource for natural language processing. Wordnet was invented by George Miller. The purpose was to offer a data resource for NLP focused on interlinking word senses. He also published a research paper about numeric cognitive limits as pertaining to working memory. This kind of limitation is a good analogy for polynym systems because it's about thinking in small numbers. Miller tells us that the average cognitive load affords from 5 to 9 items at one time. But we'll find polynyms involving 10 or more dimensions. Miller suggests that many theories involving 10 or more subordinates are actually expounding on ideas involving fewer subordinates. Unless we're offloading our cognitive load onto notebooks, chalkboards, computers, and such, working memory deals with chunks. Chunks are easier for the individual in social situations where a set of chunks can be passed to another, for instance, from a teacher to a student, and then can be unpacked in a more deliberative manner later. In the next video, video 2, we'll look at polynyms in terms of library classification and consider the two extremes in classification schemes. And we'll also take a look at the polynym database. Thanks so much for watching. Upload your polynyms at nomology.org. And remember to contact us at polynyms@gmail.com.